and he's in trouble. He's going to run. He's going to get the first down.
Don't sleep on those legs. Oh, he faked the slide. Sauce time. The Pitt Panthers have pulled a stunning upset over the West Virginia Mountaineers.
And Johnny Majors gets a ride across the field.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Simplify. I'm your host, Zach Kaminsky. I'm joined by my co-host, Mason. We've been watching Red Zone all day, so we're sorry for the pod coming out late, but...
Football bender. You got to do what you got to do.
I think we may have watched...
Legitimately, my eyes have been on watching a football for probably like 90% of my day for the last 2 days.
I think so. I mean, geez, we watched a little bit of Florida State on Friday night.
Yeah.
At the bar, and we watched basically from 2 o'clock to... We fell asleep watching football on Saturday.
It was an awesome day. An awesome day of football.
Big day to go over. As always, we'll start with the Pitt game. Your final score, Pittsburgh Panthers 34, Western Michigan 13. They get a win on the road in Kalamazoo. That brings Narduzzi's all-time record against the MAC to 6-1, I believe. Before we go over anything, do you have any big thoughts about the game before we start going drive by drive?
Don't let the box score fool you. This game was ugly as hell, and I think it was a lot closer than... Like, we knew we were going to have to win ugly, and it definitely turned out to be the case. But we'll kind of get into that as we go through the drive.
I disagree that it was closer than it was. I think this one was always kind of out of reach, but...
I don't know. There were definitely points in the game where I did not feel comfortable. And maybe that's just because it was, us playing an inferior opponent. Like, always have to be kind of like you're thinking about the worst case scenario.
Absolutely.
So that was probably what went into that a little bit.
All right. Pitt starts off the game with a field goal drive. And this is honestly where I started to be concerned because I believe they called all runs. I don't think they threw the ball a single time on this drive.
They did not on the first drive at all. No,
it was 10 straight runs.
Yeah,
of the game.
And I think Izzy had probably 8 of them.
Yeah.
They might have brought. No, I think on this drive he might have had pretty much all of them, which was the story of the night. One. Yeah, so 9 carries from Izzy.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sebo had 1, and Nate Yarnell had the 1 pass to Kanata, so it was 9 runs, 1 pass.
Okay, still not. I mean, I guess we expected that, but not that bad.
Yeah,
like not that one-sided. But we got a field goal out of it, so I was like, okay, fine. If we're going to move the ball, we got points. Defense needed to show up.
Yeah, so after this, I was pretty clear. I guess we didn't even say it, but Nate Yarnell started Saturday night. Registered freshman. It was a 3-star at Lake Travis High School in Texas, same place that Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
Who was the other guy they said? Was it? I think it was Garrett Wilson might have went there.
Yeah. Some 4-star. That was in front of him. I'm not sure where he's at now.
Oh, the other quarterback?
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't know. We don't have to go down that rabbit hole.
Either way, he makes his first time attempting meaningful passes since 2019. He was hurt in 2020. Didn't play at all in 2021. He was sitting behind 4 other quarterbacks. We haven't seen any spring tape on him, so... Yeah, they let him throw 1 pass in the opening drive, and this is where I slowly started to lose my mind. Like, oh God, we're going to have to win this game 3-0.
Yeah, it was like they were so cryptic literally up until kickoff. Like, Keaton was dressed, he was ready. It seemed like it was like an emergency quarterback situation. If Derek Kyler went down behind Yarnell, then I guess Slovis was going to come in.
Yeah, so that's what Narduzzi said, that Slovis was dressed in the worst case scenario. I think what he said is he learned his lesson while he was a DC in Cincinnati. They rushed a quarterback back too fast. Then he was clearly not able to go and re-injured himself. So they said, only in case of emergency. That's why he was dressed, but did not play. So it was Yarnell, Kyler, and then Slovis emergency.
But it was crazy because they had him dressed and like he was saying all week, does that factor into the starting quarterback decision? Yes. Like, he was really keeping the cards as close to the chest as possible.
Yeah.
But it ended up working out.
Yeah. Let's keep on moving.
Yeah.
Western Michigan 3-and-out, Pitt punts, and then the pick six was really good from Marquise Williams. He just jumps a screen.
It's a stand screen, yeah.
They
At
didn't
that point,
block him.
no, it was. I'm not sure what the play design was there, but he was like from the snap, you could like see him lurking. He was just ball probably looked like a beach ball to him when it left the quarterback's hands. But that was awesome. At that point, I was thinking, okay, who cares? We don't need an offense. The defense will do it for us. Which they did.
They did until the Zebras got involved.
Yes,
because the next drive is the muffed punt. Very heavy air quotes here. I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw that. He ran into our guy, and somehow it was a flag on us for a block in the back. I mean, I guess, like, sure, that's letter of the law, but even if he wasn't touching him in the back, he would have ran into the Jalen Barton, who's a punt returner.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It just that's a situation where you have to,
as the guy blocking on the return team, you have to realize what's happening there, because if that doesn't happen, we get the ball on our half.
15 more yards.
Yeah. So that was a big flip in the. I think that's when I kind of got worried, because I think then on that drive
they ended up scoring a field goal.
Yeah.
Then it's 10-3. Pitt and Western Michigan then trade field goals. So it's 13-6. This is where I'm really starting to lose my mind, because I think Yarnell might have 3 pass attempts in the entire game at this point. They stopped running the ball. It's not working. The run game was really 3 yards in a cloud of dust. We were lucky to get a first down if we could. And it gets better in the second half, but at this point, I was ready to just have Izzy carry 50 times and me to want to die the entire game.
Yeah.
At this point, I think it's my most nervous is at this point in the second.
Yeah. And it seemed like the deeper we got into the game too, like the more
the less willing they were to let him pass.
Yeah,
even though he had thrown some beautiful arcing
he was
balls.
dropping him in the bucket. It seemed like that was kind of they ran like the same play where it was Jared Wayne on the sideline for about 20 yards, just throw it up, let him go get it, which I respect. But they also they weren't rotating backs at all, and I get it because you're missing Hammond. Vincent Davis looked comically small behind Nate Yarnell.
He gets smaller every game.
I think he's 5'5" at this point. He looks so small behind. Like when they would go in the gun, and he was standing beside Nate, because he was 6'6".
I think he was an inch and a foot on it.
Yeah,
I think he's actually 5'9".
Yeah. So it was tough to see. It would have been really nice to have Hammond for this game, just to the 2 horses instead of the 3-man rotation, which was just Izzy and then a little bit of Vincent Davis and Sebo.
Verbal meme, the Godzilla picture where it's the 2 scary dragon heads and the one silly looking one?
Yeah.
2 scary ones. Izzy, Rodney, stupid looking dragon head, Vincent Davis.
Basically. Seeing
Vincent Davis go up the middle gave me Vietnam flashbacks during this game.
I know.
The only other thing I have to cover in the first half is Ben Sauls missed another field goal. That is now 3 on the season.
We got lucky that it didn't really affect the outcome this time.
Yeah, I'll say that much.
But that's not an excuse. That doesn't mean we don't need to go back and revisit who our kicker's going to be.
I don't get it, because Scarton was starting last year. He obviously earned the starting job. I don't know what he did to lose it to Sauls in camp. Maybe they just are embarrassed to admit that they gave the scholarship to a bad kicker.
Yeah, they're dying on the hill now.
You can't do that. He's not very good. Not at all.
Definitely need some more consistency there. Would hate to see that hurt us, down the road
absolutely.
as we get into ACC play here.
Yeah. So that ends the first half. We have a punt, and the half ends with Pitt holding the ball. I think at this point, I said Yarnell might have had 4 pass attempts. So Western Michigan opens with the ball. On their first 2 drives of the second half, Western Michigan throws 2 interceptions to end both drives. One was a long one that Eric Hallett just beat the corner on the inside. The other one saved a touchdown. He straight up just grabbed it from the receiver.
Yeah, I forgot that he had 2 picks. He balled out. He looked good and kind of saved us a couple times when they got some momentum going. The defense did shut it down.
Yeah. So after that, that leads to Pitt's first offensive touchdown of the night, which was set up beautifully by the long pass from Yarnell to Bartholomew. It was a great play call, play action. Bartholomew kind of leaks out towards down the sideline. He goes 40 yards. You could tell he really wanted to hurdle another guy. Yeah. He slows down, but then Izzy just caps off the drive with an outside run. And at this point, I'm like hooting and hollering, like, holy shit, you're running play action, and they're catching they're like wide open. Because the entire game to this point, they're putting 5, 6, 7, 8 guys in the box, daring us to run it, and they didn't even consider throwing the ball until this touchdown drive.
Yeah, we were calling for it like all game, and like we kept being like, all right, this is the one, like we're gonna get play action here. All right, this is the one, we're gonna get play action here. And eventually they did start working him in a little bit more, but it came so much later, like into the drives and into like the game than I thought it would.
I just don't get how obviously they ended up trusting Yarnell at the end of the game, right? But how do you trust him when he throws 4 passes and all of a sudden now he can throw another 8 in the second? It doesn't make any sense. I don't know. The play calling this week was brutal.
Questionable for sure.
Yeah.
And I get that they're handcuffed a little bit, but god damn, it was tough to watch at some points. Would be interested to see what Yarnell's QBR was for the game, though, because even though he only threw, I think it ended up being like 10 or 12 times.
I think 12.
He was efficient I think he only had 2 or 3 incompletions, and they were all pretty big passes.
9 of 12, 179, 1 touchdown. QBR 83.8.
Okay, so I guess they're factoring the volume into that a little bit.
Well, I mean, the Western Michigan quarterback was 6 of 18, 99 yards, 0 touchdowns, 3 picks. Good for a quarterback of 8.3.
Wow.
A tenth of Yarnell's. God. Let's move on to the next drive. This was the Western Michigan quick hitter.
The trick play. Yeah, their quarterback had such a low QBR because he didn't even score. He didn't even throw their touchdown. Yeah. It was a trick play.
Easiest double pass I've ever seen in my life. I called it watching the broadcast at home. That sucked. And then all of a sudden I'm worried again. Like, holy shit, they're only down 7.
Yeah, that was... I forget who it was that bit on it and looked really bad.
Oh, it was on MJ Devonshire.
Yeah.
He bit so hard.
Yeah. But...
Not a good week for him, but you know what? It's fine because next Pitt drive's a 12-play, 74-yard, 7-minute drive to go back up 14. This one, we were like, all joke, like, oh, this one's a play action, this is a play action. They get down to the goal line, I go, they're going to play action pass here. Mason goes, nah, they're going to run it. They're going to keep it safe.
They feel safe.
Little did I know I was right. He throws a touchdown pass, his first touchdown pass of his career, as well as Kanada's first touchdown catch as a Panther.
Yeah, yep.
Also with another nice pass to Kanada on the drive, but really, Izzy just grinded out this drive. I mean, runs of 5, 4,
this is when
6, 2, 3, 8.
Really started leaning on him here, and you could start to feel like the fatigue a little bit, and it started the us running it 60 times is starting to feel it on their D-line and their entire defense.
Clearly the D-line felt it because Vincent Davis ran for 21 yards on this drive.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then more or less the final drive that really matters because the rest of the game is just punt, Pitt touchdown, which ends in that Daniel Carter fullback dive. Not a single pass thrown on this drive, by the way. All runs. So between Izzy and Vincent Davis, and then the game ends 34-13. Like I said before, Nate Yarnell goes 9 of 12 for 179, 1 touchdown and no picks in his debut as a college player. Izzy Nabanakanda, 31 carries for 133 yards and a touchdown, his longest of 23. Vincent Davis, 11 for 83. Steve Flemister, 4 for 28. Jared Wayne had 3 catches for 94 yards. Kanata Munfield had 3 for 35, and Gavin had 1 for 37. And then on the defensive side, Marcus Williams comes up with the pick 6, and then the safety Eric Allen comes up with 2 picks on the night. We knew this was going to happen. The whole run game. As soon as we were as soon as we were debating whether or not they should who they should start, this is going to happen the entire time. Which, holy shit, they fumbled that ball.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, we're watching the overtime in the Cardinals Raiders game right now. But I don't know. The defense played really well. Other than that one trick play, there was nothing going all night. So.
Yeah, and they needed a little help from the refs to even get those field goals too.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
But yeah, so we said we needed to win 2 phases of the game. We needed to win
defense yeah, absolutely.
Wasn't pretty on offense.
I mean, we definitely won offense and defense. Special teams is the only one that we didn't win. But like the mistakes of the muffed punt didn't end up hurting us too badly.
Yeah.
And, I don't know. I still have my questions about Sauls because he's missing. He can't kick from the knee, like close to the goal, and from the hash, he's no good.
It is the hashes that gives him trouble, isn't it?
Yeah.
We'll have to keep an eye on that. Hopefully, let's figure it out now. These are the games where we can miss them.
Yeah.
Miss them next week, but after that, no more of that bullshit.
Yeah. Speaking of next week, we're not really going to preview Rhode Island too much. I'm not going to do a deep dive into them. But who do you start next week? If Slovis is healthy, do you ease him back in against Rhode Island, or do you wait for Georgia Tech?
Yeah. No, get him, because the last thing you want is to start playing these games that matter with him having nothing under his belt for the last 2 weeks. I'm a big rest over rust. Always, you want to get him. You want to get some plays under his belt. So give him the first quarter, maybe give him the first drive or 2, even just to get some live action.
Right, if he's ready to go.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. But after what we've seen from Yarnell, I'm completely fine with him.
I really like him. I thought he was.
Yeah.
He didn't show any signs like being rattled. I think he had one bad pass in the end zone that was nearly picked off, but he didn't have anywhere else to go. I would have rather him just thrown it away, but it's his first game. He's
hungry for one. He's hungry for a touchdown at that point. So
he was. To be completely fair,
another fumble.
No way.
No way.
No way they're gonna walk it off like that
on a scoop and score.
Oh
wow.
My God.
And the black hole goes quiet.
Oh man, all these guys are in sad Las Vegas Raiders giant chains, Darth Vader helmets.
Live update. Las Vegas Raiders just lost in overtime on a fumble. Cardinals scooped and scored from about midfield for a 50-yard return. They were up.
Renfro
they were up 8 with 3 minutes left in this game.
This is an NFL podcast now.
Yeah,
they were up multiple scores. They were up 2 scores.
Yeah. That was not a good look for the Raiders there.
Okay. Back to the big game. I don't know. I think Yarnell throwing for 179 yards on 9 catches, very impressive. That's pretty much my only takeaway. Izzy is going back to being that workhorse that I knew he could be.
Should we talk injury bug?
I was about to pull up the injury list. I think I sent it this morning. Okay.
Yeah. So
this is not even a list of guys who have taken a play off. This is the guys who have left the game and not returned in the first 3 weeks. So Jared Wayne and Marcus Williams both went out of the game during the first half and did not return. We don't know anything about their injuries. We probably will never learn anything about these injuries because it's Pat Narduzzi.
That's how we do it. They did. They came back onto the field, and it didn't they weren't dressed anymore. They just had
I think
street clothes
Wayne
on.
might have been concussion.
It was.
He got hit in the head.
Yeah.
I think it might have been just being overly cautious about it.
Yeah, which is fine.
Yeah. Hobble was down for a little bit, but he didn't take any of his pads off.
Didn't even go to the locker room.
Yeah,
he was holding up a sign at the end of the game.
Oh, yeah. Leave now, beat the traffic.
Yeah. So I think when you're joking around like that, it's usually nothing too serious. So he probably just got a little banged up, and they're let's be safe here.
Yeah. Deslin Alexander has not returned since his injury in week 1. Who's the right tackle? Hasn't played yet. It's
He's got a funky name.
No, Hoy's the center. Okay, anyway. The right tackle has been out. Our starting right tackle has been out since week 1. He's not played a snap this season. Gabe Hoy did not play this week. That was our starting center. Owen Drexel, that's our right tackle. Or no, is Drexel the center? Yes. Owen Drexel is the center who got hurt in the Tennessee game. He did not play this week. Gabe Hoy has not played a down this entire year. Nate Temple got hurt in this game. Dayon Hayes did not make the trip. Devin Danielson has been hurt the last couple of games, as well as Rodney Hammond. I think DeAndre Jules also has been hurt for a spell. Am I missing anybody else?
I don't think so.
I think there's... Servassier got hurt for a second, but that's really about it. So, yeah, the injury bug has hit us pretty hard. I really hope that Jared Wayne's injury isn't serious, because I think we can have one of Rodney or Jared out at the same time. If they're both out, then the offense gets a little scary, because, like you said, the entire first half passing offense was Jared Wayne fade.
Yep. But get healthy. We'll get some rest this week for sure.
It is Rhode Island. We expect the backups to play a lot, so it'll
be a good time to get everybody right.
There just isn't a lot more to talk about. It's sort of it was a sit-on-'em game. I wasn't really happy with the play calling. I can understand it, but if Yarnell is out next week again, and I'd like to see Slovis, obviously, but if he's not ready to go, let him throw. Let him throw in Rhode Island. It's clear that he's got some juice, and that's why he was recruited by the program.
Let him make a couple mistakes. Let's get some film where he can learn from. Let him go out and run the offense.
Yeah, I agree. Cool. Other than that, he can play piano. You see that video?
Yeah. Our guy's talented.
Yeah, he's nice with it.
What was the Narduzzi? Like, it was great. Composed a great game on the field or something like that. It was. I don't know.
I'm looking at it right now because great composure, great composer. Nate Yardell orchestrated a great team win.
Fire tweet from Deuce. No, I mean, yeah. That's pretty much all I have for breaking down the game this week. Also, Hakeem Williams makes his decision this Friday, right?
The 23rd.
So we'll have to keep an eye out on that as well as Rhode Island stuff. So that'll be a nice little thing to look forward to.
I'm keeping my expectations low for that, but
yeah, I think so too. Tennessee game wasn't exactly. I don't know. I keep reading articles. He has good things to say about Pitt, but hard to.
I mean, I don't know, because obviously the bags that A&M can throw you is game changing. I'm not going to tell a kid to not go get paid $1 million, do nothing for Jimbo Fisher. Mm-hmm. But if I'm him, I'm looking at Florida State and us at this point, because Miami's stinking it up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, A&M is sure they're good and they're going to throw a lot of money at you, but that offense sucks. Which I mean,
I guess Alabama and Georgia are the other. Is it Alabama and Georgia? Yeah, I think those are the other two teams in the mix, but we haven't really heard a lot from them. So unless he's being quiet about their recruitment, it seems like the Florida schools, Pittsburgh and A&M, were the biggest ones winding down here. So
we'll keep an eye on it. But maybe on Saturday we'll have some more good news rather than just an FCS game.
Maybe he saw Nate plays that. I want to play with that guy.
Yeah. Nate Yarnell gets the people going.
He gets Hakeem going, he gets me going. Let's move on to the AP poll. AP poll this week. Personally, I'm shocked at how high Penn State jumped, as well as Oregon. I mean, I guess Oregon beat the number 12 team of the nation, but Penn State jumping 8 spots up to after their win over, I guess, an Auburn team that we all thought was going to be bad before the season.
Yeah, nobody was really big on Auburn. I don't know why they got so many points for. I guess anytime you go on a road game in the SEC and win like they did, it's pretty convincing. But they have their Big Ten schedule coming up, so we'll see what they're really made of.
Mm-hmm. Washington jumps into the poll at 18. BYU drops 7 after their loss. Florida drops 2 after a bad win at South Florida. Wake Forest drops 2 after barely escaping Liberty, only escaping on a missed 2-point attempt. A&M jumps Pitt for beating what were they? They were number 13, Miami.
Yep.
Pitt falls to 24 after their Western Michigan win. And Miami rounds out at 25, dropping 12 spots after their loss to A&M.
Shout out Tennessee for jumping up to 11. Looks great for us.
I think it's keeping us in the poll.
Yeah, yeah.
We actually dropped out of the coaches poll, which I'm surprised. I mean, also the coaches poll, I think has no credit anymore because they put Michigan State over Washington, even though Washington just beat them.
Okay, yeah, that makes no sense.
Yeah, so we're not going to talk coaches poll. Okay. I think that, I don't know. Poll seems fine. Like you said, Tennessee's number 11 now. NC State's number 12. Not a lot of movement in other places.
Yeah.
That I can really...
Should we get into the games across the board here?
You want to do ACC first? Do our...
Yeah.
Round up the enemies?
Yeah. So, Friday, Florida State and Louisville.
Mm-hmm.
Florida State comes out on top, 35-31, covering the 3.5-point spread. But it was a good game though. It came down to the last drive. I think Florida State ended up picking Louisville off right at the end to kind of seal the deal.
This was a fun game. Not a lot of defense got played in the first quarter. Then all of a sudden there was a ton of defense being played. There were back-to-back picks. Jordan Travis ends up getting hurt in this game, so they go to their backup. But I believe, I don't think it was Ontario Wilson, but one of their wide receivers just absolutely went off for the Noles. That would be Trayshawn Ward, who had 10 catches for 126 yards.
Jeez.
Yeah. The backup quarterback came in as Travis Rodemaker. Really big for Florida State is to see how long Jordan Travis is going to be out, because if he's out longer than a couple weeks, they get into the meat of that schedule, and I don't think they can.
He's definitely the heart of their team, and they're going to need him for it.
He's going to need to be back by that Clemson game for sure.
Which, speaking of Clemson, the next team in the ACC here, they played Louisiana Tech, beating them 48-20. So pretty handed W here, but it was
13-6 at the end of the half.
Yeah. It was really they had a pretty good third quarter, put 21 up on them, and then Louisiana Tech scored. They matched each other in the fourth quarter again. Then still, so it was, they handled their business. There were still some concerns on offense in the first half, but they ended up being the better team and just kind of leaning on them into the later stages of the game.
I really have concerns with Clemson at this point, because at least in that game and the Georgia Tech game, they were fighting with a much lesser team for the first half, and it took them an entire half to pull away.
Yeah. And
they, you can say the same thing about Pitt, except we're on our third-string quarterbacks. You can't say it about us. Eat that. But, they're going to get got at some point. They're playing with fire. They're getting into the hard part of their schedule now, and they can't keep dicking around the first half.
Yeah, it's gonna catch up to them.
Yeah. Want to move on to the other big game in the league this week?
Yeah, quote unquote big game. We had number
13 Miami, 9, number 24 Texas A&M, 17. This game stunk. Tyler Van Dyke attempted 41 passes, only completed 21 for 217. Obviously, no touchdowns. They ran for 175 yards, but still no scores. Max Johnson only attempted 20 passes in this game. The thing that sticks out from this game is that Devin A. Shane still is just creating yards when he gets the ball. He had 18 carries for 88 yards and 4 receptions for 42. He's obviously the best player on that offense. The A&M defense really tightened up in the red zone. And the last thing I remember before going to sleep last night and peaceful dreams was seeing Miami kick a coward's field goal at the 3-yard line and they must have been down 11 at that point, and they woke up and it was the same score.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think it's great to see Miami lose like that.
If that's the Miami offense that we get week 12 too, that would be awesome.
That'd be swell.
Yeah. But not a whole lot else to unpack there.
I think we knew this was going to be an ugly game pretty much from the start, and it was an ugly game.
Yep. Next, we had NC State and Texas Tech. So I liked Texas Tech in this game. I forget what the line was exactly, but NC State
11, I want to say.
Something like that. NC State ends up winning 27-14, taking care of business, beating a Big 12 team.
I really think that NC State, we might have had the wrong read, but like their defense has been really good the first couple weeks of the season. Their offense has more or less been slow to start outside of their FCS gimme game.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we got to see if Leary ends up picking it up later in the year, or if they get to score more points, because Leary only had 15 completions for 121 yards. They only had 111 yards on the ground, so this offense is looking pretty sleepy, and they really need to get going because they're about to hit the meat of their schedule coming up pretty soon.
Yeah, they dropped to 16 in the AP poll.
No, that was their ranking last week. They're 12th now.
Is
their
this
ranking at the time?
Are you sure?
Yeah,
because Texas.
Because we're 20. We're
Yeah. Okay, I see.
Yeah.
Okay. So where are they at now? They jumped up to 12?
They jumped to 12.
Okay, so I was wondering that makes
I think
much
they
more
jumped
sense.
because the other teams lost.
Yeah. Well, cool. Good for them.
Liberty, Wake Forest, number 19 Wake Forest escapes Liberty 37-36.
Props to Liberty for going for it, doing the,
Go for two to win. Didn't work.
Yeah. I didn't even that was one that was...
It was on the same time as the Pitt game.
Yeah.
We're not changing off that channel.
Yeah. So we'll have to go back and look at that some more, but...
Hartman had 2 picks.
It's the same Wake Forest story, right? Like they're going to put up a lot of points, but that defense is kind of Swiss cheese.
Yeah, I mean Hartman, there's a 325. He does have 2 picks in this game, but even so, the Wake Forest defense comes up with 3 picks of their own actually. But Liberty still threw for 250 and ran for 170 on them. So that's probably the story there, is how they came back in the second half because of that defense there. Sorry. Next game, number 20 Ole Miss goes to Georgia Tech.
Ragdoll.
Blanks them 42-0.
Ragdoll.
I think that was Ole Miss's first FBS on FBS shutout since the mid-2000s. It was the largest one in quite some time, probably the same. I mean, 42-0 on your home field. With Herm Edwards getting fired earlier today for losing to Eastern Michigan, and Scott Frost already being gone for a week, you have to think that that Jeff Collins is not looking too good in his job right now.
Yeah, it was just Ole Miss just bullied them too. Jackson Dart they only threw the ball 16 times. They're 10 for 16, 207.
Zach Evans 134 on the ground.
Yeah,
Lord.
It was 18 carries for 134, average of 7 for him. And Quinton Judkins also had 19 for just under 100 at 98. So they really just bullied. They'd really just bully Georgia Tech.
Yeah, they're just not good on either side of the ball either.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Okay. Not much more. Before we get, I want to get to, I think the game we want to talk about. I want to talk about that one last.
Okay.
Let's do a little FCS roundup. Virginia Tech beats Wofford 27-7. They don't cover. Va-Tech offense looks stinky. Duke beats NC-A&T 49-20. Duke's 3-0. 3-0 Duke versus 3-0 Kansas.
Let's go, baby.
Dude, my hot take is that Kansas is going to start 6-0.
I could see it. That would be awesome. We'll get to it.
Okay, we'll get to that. And then Boston College beats Maine 38-17. By the way, shout out Old Dominion, who almost beat Virginia, except they had a horrible kickoff situation, and then Virginia goes about 50 yards in a minute, and then they lose on a last-minute field goal. Let's get to the game of the week, man. Syracuse 32, Purdue 29.
This game was awesome.
We thought this was going to be a pretty bad weekend, and then this game, for most of it, was god-awful. It was...
Until the fourth quarter, and at the end of the third quarter, it was...
10-9.
10-9, Syracuse was up.
Yeah.
And then the final score of this game was Syracuse 32, Purdue 29.
The craziest part about this game is that Sean Tucker was more or less a non-factor. This was... I almost forgot what even happened in this.
The last 2 minutes were crazy.
Even before the last 2 minutes. So you had... The fourth quarter opens with a score with 11 minutes left. That's the first touchdown to the Purdue tight end. Then you had the 1940s two-back formation touchdown from Syracuse.
Yeah.
And then you had a thick six on Purdue's very next offensive play. The one where O'Connell's being spun down, throws it right to a D-line.
Directly, just take the sack.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden Purdue goes, okay, we're going to throw a 55-yard bomb to a former Iowa receiver. Sure.
That's what happens when you throw the ball, guys.
And then... So then Purdue scores to go up 4 with 51 seconds left. And then they take 2 unsportsmanlikes to back them up to kick from their own 5-yard line. And then Garrett Schroeder can't do anything. He wasn't very good in this game. He was 13 for 29. But they kept getting pass interference calls. They could not stop shooting themselves in the foot.
Yeah.
And then Garrett Schroeder throws a straight-up beautiful ball. For how bad he was the rest of the game, it was a... beautiful drop in the bucket. Couldn't be more perfectly
right on the
placed
pylon.
To Aronde Gadsden.
Yeah.
It was... This one just exploded in the fourth quarter. This was awesome to watch. Syracuse is our rival, but, that's
I was rooting for him for, ACC.
Pride,
ACC. And they showed out. That, dude, it was the special teams coach that got the penalty and the tight end that scored the touchdown, right?
Yeah.
How bad do you have to feel being those guys? Oh, you don't get those penalties. There's no way that Syracuse puts a drive together to
90 yards.
Yeah. With I forget how much time was left at that point, but I think it was like under a minute, right?
They scored that touchdown with 51 seconds left.
Syracuse did?
Purdue.
Yeah. So, literally.
And then all those D-backs that kept getting penalized over and over again. He was throwing such bad passes, taking 6 seconds off the clock every time, and then it was like he was just like pulling down the lever on the slot machines. Finally, jackpot, perfect pass, done.
Yeah, it was the Buffalo Wild Wings like game extender thing that they in those commercials that they used to have. That's what this game felt like. But I think that wraps it up for ACC stuff, right?
Yeah, it does. Okay, let's get into the rest of the league. I'm going to be honest, this was for the most part, it was cupcake week. Unfortunately, Oklahoma treated Nebraska like it was cupcake week.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be funny is now 1-for-1.
Or 1-1.
Yes, sorry. 1-1. Yeah.
Did you see that they fired their DC today?
Nebraska did?
Yeah, the interim head coach fired the DC. Imagine, your coworker on the same level gets a promotion, then fires you a week later. Imagine how much he hates that DC.
Jeez, that's not... Nebraska does not have good things going. We did see a little bit of a Whipple... blanking on the name. Pitt's old quarterback.
Oh, the Whipple Bevel Bowl.
Yeah, it wasn't much, but we did see a little bit of it in there.
Went head to head for a little bit.
Yeah. This game was Nebraska went up 7, and then it was Oklahoma for the rest of the game.
They had one punch, and we're good.
Yeah.
We're good.
Yeah.
They had a "We Want Urban" chant erupt at that the Fox
Yeah.
Big Noon show.
I know you think that Urban wouldn't be good there. I think that he would rock at Nebraska.
He'd be so bad, but it would be so funny.
Yeah.
It would be so funny.
It'd be great for content.
Yeah, it would be great for content. They'd be terrible at football. USC beat the crap out of Fresno State. Jake Haener got hurt here. Not a lot more to say.
Thought it was going to be a little bit more of a shootout, but...
Haener gets hurt.
Yeah.
So. Number 11, Michigan State, losing to Washington 39-28. And this one was not as close as you would think. Washington was up 39-14 in the fourth quarter or something like that.
Some garbage time,
It
pride
was all garbage
points,
time, yeah,
pride points from the Spartans there. Yeah, boy. I mean, Vegas kind of had, like, they knew it was coming. They had Washington favored, but they were way more right than...
Yeah.
I did not
Penix
expect
looked
that.
great in this game. He had 4 touchdowns and I think nearly 400 yards of passing.
Yeah.
Great for him, by the way, to see him back after having injury issues at Indiana.
Yeah.
Next game, BYU 20, Oregon 41. Maybe we shouldn't have judged Oregon after playing Georgia. Maybe Georgia's just
ahead above everybody else. Yeah, it turns out Oregon is they're still pretty good. They're still pretty good.
BYU just got their asses kicked up and down the field all day.
Yeah, it was never really a game for them.
No.
Yeah, I guess there goes the BYU playoff hopes.
Yeah, I was a little bullish on that. We already kind of talked this, but Auburn, or number 22, Penn State, beat the crap out of Auburn 41-12. I think we all kind of talked ourselves up into Auburn because we hate Penn State. Mm-hmm. Forgot that Auburn just kind of sucks.
They do. They're bad. That was actually a game that we were watching a decent amount. Their whole 2 quarterback thing was pissing me off because it was the most predictable thing in the world.
Yeah. And they were taking away all the rhythm from TJ Finley.
Who looked good.
They'd switch him out. Then when he'd come back in, pick, fumble, all that kind of stuff.
So figure it out down there. But
Harson's getting fired, so who really cares?
Right. What else do we miss here?
Tulane, Kansas State. Kansas State loses to Tulane at home 17-10. Just sort of funny. Let's get to probably the game of the day, right? Troy 28, Appalachian State 32.
Oh, yeah.
So we end up catching the fourth quarter of this. We figured out ESPN Plus. We figured out how to use it. I have nothing to say about the rest of this game, but John Summerall, what are you doing? Why did you take that intentional safety and let App State do this to you?
Yeah.
This was, oh my God, you even said beforehand he might be doing that. He ends up doing it. We're all like, what the hell?
Why?
Why?
Yeah.
Because then, just a miracle. You got smited by God for that stupid play call in the form of that Hail Mary.
Yep. That doesn't happen. That doesn't happen if you just punt.
Yeah.
If you just punt.
No.
I don't think anything on that drive really comes about. No. But that was an absolutely electric Hail Mary. Didn't even get it to the end zone, but the hook and ladder in a sense, kind of play thing. Like it definitely didn't try.
It was like an alley-oop.
Yeah, it was so cool, and the announcers on ESPN Plus were going crazy for what that's worth. The App State radio call was insane.
So if you haven't seen that, go look up the App State radio call of the Hail Mary. That's what we were all sounding like in the moment. We just all lost our minds about that game. It was so cool just to see.
That's
one
like
of those.
That's like the scenario you paint like when you're playing like pickup football in backyards and stuff. Yeah. It was just love seeing that. They had the whole game day thing. Game day environment there was electric.
Rush the field.
Yeah, that was like. They should have just had that game on ESPN. I don't know why they had to do it on ESPN Plus, but we figured it out. So
it was to sell ESPN.
Yeah, and it fucking worked, and it worked. They couldn't have had a better game on there, but that was awesome.
Kansas 48, Houston 30. We were watching a lot of this because it was on the channel that Pitt was supposed to be on.
Yes,
I don't really regret it though because Kansas is really fun, man. They got a good running offense. That's all I gotta say.
Talk me into Kansas being 6-0.
All right. So right now, actually, what was Kansas in the AP? I believe they're
They were receiving votes.
They received 23 votes, so they're towards the upper 30s. Now, I want to take you through the schedule. So they're 3-0. They won their FCS game handily. They beat West Virginia in overtime, and they beat Houston by 2 scores. They're averaging 45 points per game in regulation. Their next 3 are Duke at home, Iowa State at home, TCU at home. Now, the back half of their schedule is fucking brutal. It's at Oklahoma, at Baylor, Oklahoma State at home, at Texas Tech, Texas at home, and then at Kansas State. So I don't have high hopes for that, but 6-0 Kansas is completely within the realm of possibility going into that Oklahoma game.
I don't hate it, and would be good for like the matchup of that game too, like to get I assume yeah. Which the last time Kansas was ranked,
2007, 2008.
Yeah, probably around then. But yeah, that would be awesome. Yeah, I think we should get game day. We should get game day at Kansas this week.
They're going to Tennessee, right?
Yeah.
Or no, they're going to Florida. They're going to Florida, Tennessee, which sucks.
But like, how funny would it be to just have game day
at Kansas?
At Kansas against Duke, just two absolute powerhouses duking it out. I wonder what the line will be on that game, but I think Kansas is probably going to beat up on them, honestly, because Kansas' 3-0 has been significantly better than Duke's 3-0 for sure.
I think the best team that Duke has beaten might be NCAA or Northwestern, I guess. It's like Northwestern, Temple, and NCAA. It might be NCAA.
Yeah, it could. Yeah.
There are pretty much no other games. I just want to give a personal shout out to Oregon State for dropping 68 on Montana State. Oregon State's 3-0. I think they play USC. They play USC next week. Next week.
Thanks for coming out, Oregon State.
No. I'm circling that one. They put it on the Pac-12 number for a reason, because they don't want you to see it. Oregon State's going to do it. They just played Boise, Fresno, and Montana State. Montana State is the runner-up to the FCS playoff last year.
It's true.
They've played some quality opponents. Don't let that fool you. They're
okay. All right. That game's also going to be a shootout. Absolute shootout. Probably looking at a 70-point over-under there.
Bet it now before it keeps going up.
Yeah.
I don't think I have anything else.
No. Oh, shout out to Arizona for beating North Dakota State and not losing
Shocking.
not losing to an FCS school. So good for them. I did not picture Arizona being 2-1 at this point, but
no,
they're doing all right.
Yep.
But no, that's about it. Not couple good games, but cupcake week. We finally get one next week.
And you know what? All I want to do is never have to play Western Michigan ever again. Thank you for listening. This has been Simple 5 Podcast. I've been your host, Zach. I was joined by my co-host, Mason. If you like the show, make sure to rate it 5 stars, download it, follow us on your podcast app of choice. Tell a friend, tell a neighbor, tell your parents, tell your grandparents. Tell a stranger on the subway. I don't care. Spread the word. And if you don't, follow the podcast on Twitter at Simple5Pod. You can follow me at I'm Real Angry, and you can follow Mason at Clayson_Main. With that, we'll see you later in the week.
Have a bit.